All right, we're about to pull back the curtain on something that's all around us but almost completely hidden: algorithmic trading. This is the world where computer code runs the global financial system, making millions of decisions every single second.
I mean, just imagine it for a second. A tireless, emotionless robot trading for you 1,000 times a minute. What rules would you even give it? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but you know what? It's the reality of our markets today.
So, at its core, what is algorithmic trading? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's just using a computer program, a robot, if you will, with a set of pre-programmed rules to buy and sell stuff. Think of it like this: the stock market is a giant toy box full of blocks. You just give a robot a rule, something like, hey, buy the blue blocks if they're cheaper than the green ones, and that robot will execute that rule thousands of times a minute without ever getting tired or emotional.
Okay, so what are these robots actually programmed to do? Well, it turns out they pretty much have two very different and very important jobs.
These algorithms really break down into two main types. First, you've got your execution algorithms. You can think of these as the limo drivers of the market. Their only job is to move a massive order. I'm talking like 5 million shares, secretly and safely. They do it by breaking that huge order into tiny little pieces to avoid causing a market crash. Then you have the alpha-seeking algorithms. These are the treasure hunters. They use all sorts of unique data to try and find a hidden, repeatable strategy for making money.
So, who actually owns these incredibly powerful robots? Well, it really just comes down to three main players. First up, we've got the big guys, the investment banks. Think of them as both the limo driver and the traffic cop of the financial world. They're mostly there to provide a service for their huge clients. And they make money in two main ways. As the limo driver, they use their clients' money to execute those giant, quiet trades we talked about, and for that, they charge a fee. But as the traffic cop, they actually use their own money temporarily to make sure there's always a buyer for every seller. And for that service, they collect a tiny profit on each trade. It's called the spread, kind of like a toll for keeping traffic on the market highway moving. Our second player is a totally different animal: the quantitative hedge fund. These are the true profit hunters. Their one and only mission is to find unique, profitable strategies that absolutely no one else has discovered. Their model is pretty straightforward. They use other people's money, from wealthy clients, pension funds, you name it, to hunt for what's called alpha. Alpha is just a fancy word for a unique edge, a strategy that consistently beats the market average. And how do they get paid? They use the famous 2 and 20 model. They get a 2% fee just for managing the money, plus a massive cut of any profits they generate. And when I say massive, I mean it. That cut is usually 20% of all the profits. I mean, that is an incredible incentive to build the smartest algorithm you possibly can, because if you can deliver, well, the rewards are just astronomical. And that brings us to our third and final player, the proprietary trading firm. You can think of these guys as the absolute speed racers of the market. And here's the kicker: they play with their own money. Yeah, so unlike the hedge funds, these firms use their own capital. Their entire goal, their whole reason for being, is to be the fastest player out there. And they make their money by executing millions of tiny little trades every second using a strategy called arbitrage. So let's talk about that speed. How exactly does being the fastest person in the room turn into actual money? Welcome to the wild world of high-frequency trading, or HFT. HFT firms invest millions, sometimes billions of dollars just to gain a millisecond edge. And they do it in two main ways. First, proximity. They pay a ton of money to put their computer servers in the exact same room as the stock exchange's computers. It's a practice called co-location. And second, infrastructure. They literally build their own private, hyper-fast data highways using custom fiber optics and even microwave towers. So how does all that speed actually make them money? It's through that thing we mentioned, arbitrage. Let me just walk you through it. The HFT robot spots that the exact same stock is trading for $10 on one exchange and $10.01 on another. Because it's the fastest thing out there, it can simultaneously buy the stock on the cheap exchange and sell it on the expensive one, locking in a totally risk-free profit of 1 cent per share before anyone else even knows what happened. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1 cent? That sounds like nothing. But what happens if you do it 1,000,000 times in a single day? All of a sudden, you've made $10,000 in risk-free profit. That right there is the power of speed and scale. But what happens when these incredibly fast, mind-bogglingly complex systems go wrong? Because, well, handing over control to automated systems comes with some very, very serious risks.
There are four really big ones to worry about. First, you have flash crashes, where one robot's little error triggers a massive chain reaction of selling that can collapse the market in just minutes. Then there are simple operational failures, a tiny bug in the code, a network glitch that can cause millions of bad trades in seconds. There's also something called ghost liquidity, where all the trading bots just vanish the second the market gets choppy, leaving no one left to trade with. And finally, you can have a flawed model, an algorithm that worked perfectly on old data but just completely falls apart when it faces something new.
So with all these huge risks, why even do it? To really get that, we need to understand the ultimate goal, the thing that justifies investing billions and billions of dollars into this technology. And the key is understanding the difference between two concepts, beta and alpha. See, beta is just the market's average return. It's like the river current that just carries everyone along. Alpha is the extra return you get on top of that. It's the proof that your strategy, your robot, has a genuine, undeniable edge.
And this, right here, is probably the most crucial point of all. The ultimate goal of these incredibly complex systems isn't to make one big lucky guess about where the market is going tomorrow or next week.
No, the goal is to build a penny printing machine. A truly successful algorithm doesn't try to predict the future. Instead, it finds a tiny, systematic, repeatable source of profit, a fraction of a penny, and it hits that opportunity millions of times a day, just printing reliable profit 1 penny at a time.
And all of this leaves us with a really critical question. As these penny printing machines get faster and smarter and more dominant, what is the new role for humans in a market that's becoming almost entirely automated?